Hi, and welcome to the Pit Lane, a Formula One podcast where we talk about everything F1. In this week's episode, we'll talk about the Miami Grand Prix. I am your host, Jordan Wynn, and alongside me is my co-host, Alden Kwell. Hey, Alden, how you doing today?
I'm very good today, Jordan. How about yourself?
Good. We just watched the race together.
We did.
It's been a long time since we actually watched one in the same room.
The first time we recorded a podcast, I believe.
Yeah, I think that was Austin
last
year.
year.
Time zones help.
Yeah.
It's easier when it's 3 o'clock versus 8 a.m. or
Correct.
midnight, depending on where we are. But yeah, so we got to watch the race together, so it should be fun. A little bit of news before we start, at least.
Yeah, let's go.
Nico Hülkenberg, about a week and a half ago, signed a 3-year contract with Sauber, soon to be Audi F1, starting next year in 2025. Big news. They got a German driver for a soon to be German team.
Right.
I think that's the big thing that they wanted.
Yep.
To get things going, and I think Hulk's had a good year so far.
He has had a good year so far with Haas. He's demonstrated that he hasn't lost any of his racecraft, his speed, his determination. So he's being rewarded with the 2 solid years over at Haas, and he's going to head over to Sauber next year, probably race in a green and black car. I don't know. Maybe Kick will stay around, but then it'll turn into Audi
Works team.
So
Actually, they're doing their own engines too.
yeah. So they got what they wanted. I think he's got what he's wanted. Hopefully he can score a couple podiums so he doesn't have to hear any more nonsense about the most race starts without a podium.
Yeah. Fingers crossed for him.
Yep.
You think that'll bring a German Grand Prix back?
I don't. I mean, I would like that. That's what I think both of us would want, but I don't think the German race organizers are willing to throw around the money that other new entrants have done to get races like Qatar or Saudi Arabia.
Right.
24 races in a calendar season. Do we really need 25? I would love to have a German race at the expense of another one. I think we've been over many of the circuits we would like to not see, but as much as we would like that, I don't think it's in the cards.
Which one would you want? Hockenheim or Nuremberg?
I loved it when they alternated.
Yeah.
And I would like that. I guess Hockenheim is probably what I would.
Hockenheim wet.
Exactly.
The Drake strip.
Partially wet. Yeah. Oh man, he was gonna get a podium that day too.
Yep.
So maybe he wouldn't want to go there. So maybe it would be the Nürburgring. Yeah.
Second news, we got Adrian Newey. Big news. Set to leave Red Bull after Q1 of 2025. First quarter.
Yep, first quarter. Not to be confused with first qualifying. There had been some rumors over the last couple of weeks. We kind of heard rumblings that this was coming, and it was never really confirmed up until, Thursday this week?
Yeah.
Or was it Wednesday?
So. Thursday, Wednesday.
Red Bull and Newey both made it official. He will be leaving the team at the end of this season, I think. And he
won't
be available. So he'll have some sort of leave.
Yeah, I think he's not working on the car anymore.
Aha.
Full stop. But he still can be I think he still has the races he's going to, the few that he has decided already to go to and stuff. And then he's working on a hypercar. I think that's been in development for a few years for Red Bull that he's designing. It's basically it's a road car. It's not a race car. It's a road hypercar that he's designing. Which is supposed to be like F1 speed and whatever.
And
that's
the
claiming. And Red Bull's making it. Yep. That's and Newey's designing it. So
So this will be directly compete with his Vulcan.
Yeah, the Valkyrie.
The Valkyrie, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Dude's just designing all the hypercars, huh?
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason why he's still there.
Okay.
Or has been there, is that he's getting other opportunities to do things versus just only F1.
Well, he's a free agent. We were kind of talking about it while we were watching the race. We were thinking, what would be our dream scenario for him? And I would love to see him go back to Williams.
Yeah.
End his career where he began. I think that would be poetic. I think that'd be interesting. It'd be fun. It would be
fun for fans for sure.
Fun for fans. It's fun for Williams fans as well.
Yes.
Maybe he just wants to retire though, and I think that might be the best thing for F1 as a whole. This guy is dominant as a designer.
He has 12 or 13 drivers and slash constructors titles in 30 years or something like that.
He's got to be
almost half.
Yeah, the commentary team were saying that he's the most decorated technical person in all of F1 history. It's insane.
Which is crazy.
So maybe it would be best for F1 if he did retire. It would probably even the playing field for whichever team he's not designing for.
But it would be best for whoever team gets them.
Correct. Which, I mean, money speaks, right? So I don't know if Williams' pockets are that deep. I know Aston Martin and Ferrari's pockets are pretty deep. Ferrari setting themselves up. That's another news item. We'll transition to the Ferrari new sponsorship.
Oh, yeah.
Should talk about that.
Hewlett Packard?
Yeah. HP Computers.
Yeah, so we have blue on a red Ferrari. Leads us into livery chat here.
Livery chat.
We love that. Ferrari had a little bit of splice of blue on their car this weekend, which supposedly was supposed to celebrate the 70-year racing in America or something.
Yeah.
Anniversary. Mm-hmm. But it's probably just because HP was on the car, and it gave him an excuse to run a little bit more blue on the car.
Those two things coinciding, I don't think is a coincidence. It was certainly a win for everyone involved. I mean, Ferrari is going to make something like $60 million a year with this HP.
I think that's like 2/3 of their budget or something like that.
It's insane. It's great for them. The blue on the car doesn't look very good, in my opinion. I think the blue race suits and the blue hats and the blue merchandise actually looks pretty good.
Yeah. I do like the merch.
Yeah. But the blue on the wings, the blue...
The two-tone blue, I think, was the issue we talked about, yeah.
The HP logos are not... The number of logos are a problem, but the one on the engine cover seems completely normal.
Yeah.
The one on the engine cover and the one on the side pod or near there on the barge boards, it looks fine.
Yeah, we'll have to see what their main livery is going to look like, I guess.
Right.
Now with HP on it.
So we'll find out in 2 weeks' time.
In Imola, unless they have some special...
Italy.
Imola, yeah. Which you never, right? Usually they do it at Monza, but
they could, yeah.
They got 2 races a year, so
so we'll see. But that's a huge deal because I mean that helps pay for Lewis's contract
and maybe Newey's contract,
as well. So we'll see where that takes them for next year. But as of now, we've got a one-time livery that has mixed reviews, I think, in the F1 world.
Yeah. And we had another livery this weekend with V-Carbs.
Rainbow?
I don't want to call it rainbow because it wasn't really rainbow colors. It was like that kind of Miami, like
neonish.
Yeah. Neon pink with a neon green with a neon blue with their
yellow and white
with the regular blue. Yeah. It was okay. I don't think it looked bad on track.
It was awful. It was awful.
And that's fine. I don't think it looked bad as on track as the pictures did. But I like their main livery better.
Yeah, I do too. And I'm not...
It feels like a Toro, so...
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of the V-Carb livery, just their standard one. I think it's kind of messy. It's very busy. And this one makes it even more busy. Like, there just isn't a good angle. And maybe it's because the cars are going too fast on screen, but even the pictures don't look so good. That's my opinion. But
yeah,
I think the Toro Rosso liveries and the AlphaTauri liveries of years past look
better,
cleaner, a lot more interesting look and color. But
yeah,
maybe the next couple iterations will evolve and
just the first year. Yeah. I don't know how long Visa's locked in or Cash App, or if they're together. I don't know if it's one thing or not.
I think
I don't know the structure.
Companies. Yeah, no, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not linked in any way. So it could
Other than this team,
yeah, which is so odd. 2 finance companies.
Right.
Anyway.
Something to look into. But yeah, so a couple of new liveries this weekend. A lot of custom helmets. I know Hulk's was pretty cool. I thought,
yeah,
Hulk's, it was pretty clean. It was white with that, Miami green palm trees and stuff.
His looked good.
Piastri's, I think, was good. It was black with the orange.
Full neon.
Yeah.
Daniel Ricciardo's was like a different color than normal.
Same weekend. Design, but different color. Yep.
And that looked kind of okay. I'm not really a big fan of the flames, but
yeah, I'm not either.
The facial hair this weekend was a choice for many drivers. Ricciardo and Leclerc were the two standouts, I think, for me.
A little egregious, I think, one more than the other, but that was just my opinion.
Boys, we got to shave those off for Imola.
That's right. It might be mandatory for Ferrari. We'll see. We can get into the sprint weekend this weekend.
Yeah, let's get into the weekend.
Should we just get right into the results for that?
Yeah, let's do free practice 1.
Oh, with Leclerc kind of...
Yeah, Leclerc having an
Austin Powers moment. Coming out of the... I don't know what you
Turn
call
16.
it. It's not a bus stop. It's just the clumsy chicane under the freeway, under the bypass.
It's the hard left underneath the freeway bridge.
Yeah, just spun out and just wheeled it around and was nose to the wall. Didn't hit it, but...
No, he was able to save the car from any damage, but he ended up overheating the clutch and wasn't able to find reverse a second time. And
it's kind of funny.
Yeah, what it meant for him was that he was on the back foot for the whole weekend because he was not able to participate for the rest of the week or the free practice session.
And since it's a sprint weekend, that's all your practice.
Right. Yep. And so some other drivers were, it was a red flag, but the clock was still ticking. So everyone else had less time as well. I don't think there was any surprises in free practice 1.
Not other than that, no.
No, a lot of teams were just kind of like practicing sprint qualifying and long runs and just trying to gather as much data as possible. But that was the only real surprise for free practice. And then right after that session, they had the sprint qualifying.
Yeah. Max was on pole. He also won the race. The sprint race.
He did. I think the most interesting thing we could take away from the sprint qualifying was that Lando Norris set the fastest time on medium tires in the sprint qualifying 2 session.
That's right.
And it kind of raised some eyebrows because they came with like
10 or 11 upgrades. Oh, no, something. It was it was basically an entirely different car.
Yeah. They are not quite saying a B car, but it's basically like a B spec car.
Yeah, it's like the chassis is the same, but everything else isn't.
Everything attached to it.
Yeah,
it's just completely different.
Right, the cockpit's the same, the pedals
and the driver.
Yeah. Piastri got some of the upgrades, not all of them.
Yeah, it sounded like he was running like half a package, and they're gonna
bring the rest to
Imola. So odd timing. I think there was a lot of questions about whether or not it was the right idea to put all the upgrades on at once, but they wanted to eventually see and gather data on how they all interacted with one another.
Because clearly they wanted them all on the car.
They wanted them all on the car. So rather than doing it piecemeal, they just ripped the Band-Aid off and put it all on at once. And rather fortuitously, it did work.
In the end. But the sprint race.
Yeah.
And Lando actually got knocked out in the first corner, unfortunately. There's an incident between Stroll and Alonso, and then Hamilton kind of dive bombed that, whether he's miscalculated, there's no grip on the inside.
Yeah, I think,
ended up 3-4 wide, and kind of Alonso and Stroll were kind of already into each other a little bit. And
I think Alonso was trying to save some space for Hamilton because he saw him coming on his right side. So he was taking the corner a bit wider, and that just meant that he ran into his teammate.
Right.
And then Hamilton and Stroll being on opposite sides of Alonso just kind of pinched him, and he got his whole front wings all messed up.
Yeah.
And then who was it that actually hit Norris? Was it Alonso or was it Stroll?
Stroll hit Norris because Stroll was on the outside.
Stroll, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so then Lando wasn't able to keep the car moving. He caused a safety car.
I think Norris ended up out, and I think Stroll was out as well.
Yes.
Is that right?
And then Alonso pitted as well, so he ended up finishing the sprint last or second
after
to last.
He qualified fourth or third or fifth. I don't know, something like that in the sprint race. And
so big bummer for Stroll. He ended up not having a very good weekend at all. But Max won the sprint.
Charles was second ahead of Perez for third.
Yeah. Ricciardo, who after the first turn was in third because Perez ended up dropping to fourth.
Yeah.
He was able to hold that position for 10, 12, 13 laps or something. And then Perez passed him. But Daniel Ricciardo ended up finishing fourth. He qualified fourth.
Yes.
And he finished fourth in the sprint.
And that V-carb, I think that's 5 points for fourth in a sprint. That sounds right. Because that's 8-1.
6-7-5.
8-7-6-5, yeah.
Or 8-7-6-5, yeah.
So I think that's his first points of the year.
I think, yes.
I want to say.
Yeah, those are.
good for them to build their advantage out of the back of the field, I guess.
Yeah.
6 through 10.
And really important for Daniel to get the confidence.
Right.
It was short-lived because he qualified P18 in qualifying for the race after the sprint quality or the sprint session.
Yeah.
But he can build on that.
Yeah. And he held off Ferrari behind him the entire, last few laps, to hold on to P4 too. And held on to Perez for a while.
Correct. He was able to
Red Bull
hold off Perez for a while as well.
Yeah. Huge for him. And another thing to note for that, K-Megs, you can quote unquote defense of Hamilton, holding up Hamilton to give his teammate some space, as Hulk was directly in front of him. Directly, a couple seconds up the road. But he kind of kept he was in front of Hamilton. Hamilton get past him on the DRS, and then K-Meg felt like he just basically dive bomb him on the inside as Hamilton's trying to pass and run him off the track and just keep going. I think K-Meg had 15, 20 seconds worth of penalties in 4 laps.
Yeah.
Hamilton also ended up with a 20-second or a stop-go penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
Yeah, he had
under the safety car right away.
He did have a speeding infringement in the pit lane during a safety car or whatever. But yeah, between him and Magnussen, they were.
It was messy.
It was messy, and Hamilton, you could argue, many people could and have, that Hamilton should have had a penalty for the first corner incident of the opening lap.
Alonso certainly thought so.
Alonso thought so. Hamilton was just carrying so much speed into that, and then all the stuff with Hamilton and Magnussen. I don't think Hamilton was to blame for any of it. Both of them were just trying to play chicken with one another to see who would break first, and they were both just entering the corner 20, 30 miles an hour over the entry speed.
And there's a line of 10 cars behind them.
Seriously. And at one point, you think it was Yuki who ended up squeezing through.
Or at least tried to.
Yeah.
Somebody did, yeah.
Someone did. I think it was Yuki, because then Magnussen ended up eventually giving up the position, and then Yuki and Hamilton went by.
Yeah.
Crazy. That was dangerous, but for all of them.
Yeah. Magnussen ended up with a handful of penalty points and stuff in the end.
Yeah, 3 penalty points.
So
he's on 8 now.
I don't know when his expire, but yeah, he might have some more coming up here.
Yeah,
after the race
the race today.
So see what happens there. But yeah, interesting sprint race. Was kind of fun from that standpoint, at least. But
it was eventful. Not up front, but it was eventful.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad sprint race.
But there wasn't a lot of passing either.
There wasn't.
No.
I think it was more of Ricciardo hanging on to 4th, and just the initial safety car, and it shortened the race a little bit. Get into the race.
Yeah. Was there anything else from qualifying?
I don't think there was anything too major.
Max qualified on pole. Leclerc 2nd. Perez 3rd. Sainz 4th.
No, Sainz was 3rd.
Perez was 4th. Perez was 4th. Yep. And then it was the 2 McLarens in 5th and 6th. And then 7th and 8th was a Mercedes lockout. And then it was Hulk and
Yuki and Hulk.
Yeah,
we're up there.
So, Ricciardo ended up starting.
It was 16th, 17th, 18th. Last because of his penalty.
Yeah, and then Albon started from the pit lane or something. Or did he start from the pit lane for the sprint?
Yeah. It was a pit lane start for him.
But then the race today.
Yes. Start from the top. Who won this week?
It was Lando Norris.
Lando Norris gets his first F1 victory
after a safety car.
Yeah, in lap 30, 32?
28 or something.
Yeah.
Because I think it restarted at 32.
Yeah.
And Lando just hadn't pitted yet. He started on the mediums.
He started, I think it was 6th after the opening corner. He was a little bit ways behind Carlos. I think he was stuck behind somebody. I can't remember who was stuck behind him for a while. They pitted. I don't know if it was Hamilton or Russell. I don't know. I honestly can't remember. We just watched the race.
It was a very eventful race.
Yeah, he was stuck behind somebody. They pitted. He took off, and they just said, "Go get Carlos."
Yep.
And he was I think it was 6 seconds behind him. Got that gap down to I think I saw 1.7 by the time Carlos pitted, And he was fastest. He had to get 3 laps in a row where he had fastest lap, fastest lap, fastest lap. And this was lap like 14, 15, 16, 17 on medium tires.
Yeah.
That far into the race where other people were pitting already off their mediums because they weren't lasting that long.
Because there was a virtual safety car after Max hit a bollard at the
where there's a group of people that pit.
Yep.
It was pretty quick.
Yep.
Pretty quick VSC, but
because Piastri and Sainz pitted on the same lap at the same time.
Piastri and Leclerc.
Was that Leclerc? I thought that was Sainz.
Piastri and Leclerc.
Okay.
Yep. Because Piastri was leading the race after Max pitted. Okay. Leclerc was behind Piastri. And then Carlos was behind him. Yep. Lando didn't pit. Got the benefit of the safety car. It was kind of weird, the timing of the safety car, where I think he was like 10 to 12 seconds ahead of Max at that point.
Yeah.
Safety car came out. Safety car split Norris and Max. And might have just been the timing the safety car came out. So Max was behind the safety car, but Lando wasn't. So it was basically McLaren was scot-free to make a free pit stop to guarantee he would still be in the lead by the time he came out of the pits, which he probably still would have been if they had a good stop. But yeah, after the safety car, he kind of just drove away. I think Max made one mistake, and all of a sudden Norris was gone.
Yep.
And he slowly, just lap by lap, pulled away. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3. Yep. All of a sudden, it was 6.5 seconds by the time the race was over. 7 seconds. It's a huge gap.
Huge. Especially
on that Red Bull. But yeah, awesome for Lando. I think he had like 13 podiums before getting a race win in an era where Max wins every race, essentially.
Absolutely.
Or Red Bull does.
We had that opportunity in Russia a couple years ago.
The rain struck and made the wrong decision.
Yeah, and it was entirely his fault. But this one was also entirely his fault by winning.
Yeah.
He won himself this race. I mean, it was luck with the safety car and all, but
it was deserved.
It's deserved. He brought that car home after a very interesting race.
His teammate, on the other hand, he was actually in very good position. He was, I think, in second place before he pitted. No, sorry, he led the race before the pits, but Max had pitted before him, so inherently he was second, really. He took a pit stop, safety car came out, he ended up right in front of Carlos. And what happened was, on the safety car restart, him and Carlos were paddling. A few laps into it, Piastri made contact with Carlos, where Carlos kind of, I wouldn't say he dive bombed him, but broke really late and on the back straightaway, and they almost came to a stop, it felt like. And it was pretty clumsy by Carlos, and Piastri kind of turned into him because he had to, because the wall was coming up. Yeah. Made contact on his front wing, under the rear of Carlos, broke his wing.
Big time.
Had to make a pit stop, was last out of the pit stops. So race kind of ruined for him after being, I think he was in 4th place at that point.
Yeah, ended up finishing 13th. He did finish with the fastest lap, but because he finished outside of the top 10, he does not get an extra point for it.
Yeah. It's ultimately a disappointing race for him. I don't think it was his fault.
No.
Like I said, I think it was a clumsy move by Carlos. He could have done better there and maybe not have gone so deep, but Carlos was kind of upset with him earlier in the race that Piastri pushed him off, quote unquote, and a decision was made to not give a penalty there.
And I don't think there was. I mean, he was ahead. He didn't really push Sainz off
that badly.
No. And I think Carlos got a little worked up, but
yeah.
Carlos ended up finishing 4th, collected 12 points.
Piastri got nothing.
Piastri ended up with nothing. So we'll see if there's any. I think they were investigating that incident.
Yeah, they called them both up after the race.
So we'll see if anything comes to that.
So that result might change. Everybody might move up a few spots, but
good. I don't think Piastri is going to move up.
No, he won't.
3 positions to capture any points, but I don't think Carlos Sainz will. I mean, he's just driving his car. I don't like Piastri ran into him. But we'll see what the stewards end up thinking happened.
It's kind of an unfortunate incident, but I think still, my opinion, I think it was kind of clumsy by Carlos. But yeah, we can get into Max ended up second in the race, Red Bull.
Yep.
Car just, it sounded like he couldn't really turn the car into the corners. A lot of understeer this weekend.
Yeah.
He wasn't really pulling away in the first stint from Piastri with some of the McLaren upgrades. They pitted before the safety car, lost out there, and Lando just pulled away. Yeah. Lando just pulled away from him. They might have won the race otherwise, but it probably would have been close.
It could have
been a better battle, at least, I would say.
I don't know. Yeah, he was complaining about the balance of the car all weekend. Max was. The medium stint, the opening stint on the mediums seemed like it was going fine. I mean, he was creating some space, but he wasn't pulling away from anyone like crazy. But then once they went on to those hards, it's like the car just completely changed because everyone was on the hards at the same time. And like we saw, the McLaren of Lando was just pulling ahead. It wasn't even close. I mean, he was doing lap times way faster than Max. So we'll see in the next couple of races if this is really truly indicative of the McLaren upgrades working and bringing them this close, or if not on par or on pace with the Red Bull, or if Max just truly did have an off weekend and then he wins by 22 seconds in Imola in 2 weeks' time. But we'll end up having to see that. Hopefully it's close still, but because it would make these races more interesting.
Yes, definitely. As this race was, right? That's why it was more interesting.
Yeah, exactly, because there was a different race winner and something interesting was actually going on.
Perez finished P5. Kind of a tough race for him, it felt like. Had a good start. Broke real late into the corner. I think he was on the way inside on the dirty line. Almost hit Max on the first corner. Ended up, I think, in 6th or 5th place at that point. Kind of just stand pat, fell back a little bit from the Ferraris and the McLaren, and that was kind of his race. He was battling Hamilton for 5th. Toward the end, Hamilton was on top of him toward the end of the race. He ultimately still ended up P5. Kind of, it was a mediocre weekend for Sergio. I mean, with Max's issues, I guess I'm not totally surprised that maybe Checo was having similar issues. Maybe it's just a track-dependent thing here for whatever reason with the new Red Bull. It doesn't go well around here as well.
I mean, they went around the Miami so well last year and the year before. This is really interesting because up until the race, not even the sprint race, but up until the race, Max had won everything at this circuit.
Yeah.
So
everything.
Yeah, both of the races that happened the previous 2 years, plus the sprint race this year. I wonder if it's possible that the one practice session and the shortened practice session caught Red Bull out and they just didn't have the data available to make the best strategy calls or make the best adjustments, because they would have had 2 opportunities to adjust the car, once before sprint qualifying and then the other before the actual the race qualifying. But I don't know what happened to them, but they were not on it the way we're accustomed to seeing them.
Right, as of late.
Yeah.
I mean, they've won everything else except, Carlos Sainz got one, but the past year and a half, it's been
Max. Except for 2, now 3.
Yeah.
2 Sainz victories and not Lando, so.
Right. Yeah, kind of off. I mean, off weekend for Red Bull per se, but we'll see what happens at Imola. We can get on to Ferrari.
Yep.
3-4 finish. Charles Leclerc finishing 3rd. Carlos 4th. That's kind of where they felt like they were all weekend. It was the 3rd best car.
Mm-hmm. Faster than Perez, but not faster than Max.
Right. Not faster than the McLarens. I don't think they were.
In qualifying, they were, but it kind of
race pace.
Yeah, race pace. It looked like the McLaren.
Piastri passed Leclerc on track.
Yep.
And they didn't get it back without crashing into him. So, I mean, yeah, Ferrari with some work to do, I guess. Not a bad weekend per se. I mean, they got 3rd and 4th. Good haul of points. Outscored McLaren still.
Yep.
Didn't outscore Red Bull, but don't expect to. But, I mean, they're still 2nd in the constructors. That's where they want to be. So, not a lost weekend going home.
I think they want to be in 1st, but being
realistic.
Yeah. I mean, they can build from this, right? They realize now that Red Bull's not invincible. It gives them something to build upon. Maybe they already thought that Red Bull wasn't invincible when they beat them in Australia, albeit Max didn't really race. Yeah, but this, I think they can walk away from Miami confident of their cars qualifying pace and race pace, and that they have something that they can build upon and keep working towards a goal of being just as competitive as the McLaren. I mean, we saw McLaren can transform their car from, fast and,
to race winning,
5th, 6th to race winning in one weekend.
Yep.
And granted, they did have luck with the safety car and all that, but like you also have to capitalize on your moments.
You got to make your own luck too.
They did, and Lando and McLaren did, and maybe Ferrari can use that as well. And it'd just be more interesting to have a 3-horse race, or a 3-team battle up at the top for, pole positions and race wins and podium finishes, and maybe this shakes things up in the order. And now that we're about to start some of the European races, maybe that can be beneficial for Ferrari.
Yeah, I think they do have some upgrades coming to Imola as well.
Yep.
So we'll see what comes of that.
See what comes
back on home soil.
Weeks. Yeah, but then we'll have back-to-back race weekends with Imola and then Monaco.
Is that back to back?
Yeah.
Then to Canada, I think.
And then to Canada, Montreal. Yeah, early June.
Yeah. Then back to Europe.
Then back to Europe again.
Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton, P7. Is that right? P6.
Okay.
P6 on the day. Okay. I mean, they're probably the 4th fastest car.
They probably are.
That's at least this weekend. That's kind of where they are, and that's with DNFs, and that's their best. Yeah. I mean, it's been their normal for feels like a couple of years now.
Yeah,
kind of stuck there. He had, I don't know. Obviously, sprint race didn't do well. He had the penalty and whatnot. Battle with Magnussen for 7th, 8th.
Yep. He
so
ended up not scoring points at the end.
Yeah, so a few points for them. Russell struggled all weekend too. Got nothing in the sprint race, and finished 8th today.
Okay,
behind Yuki. So
Yuki's driving the wheels off that V-carb.
He's trying. He's trying to hold on to a seat, but yeah, Russell. I don't know. Kind of a weekend to forget. I felt like he was just kind of behind the 8 ball, comparatively to Hamilton at least.
And they were not. Their car was so slow on the straights. Like they just were not able to pass anyone. So very little. I mean, you see the camera on them, but it was just them like
behind another car
with
DRS on their.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they pull out of the slipstream and it dies.
How can Lewis Hamilton not pass Magnussen going when he has DRS going into a turn like that? You would have never thought that would be possible. Haas,
right?
A Mercedes should blow past a Haas,
right?
Hundreds of meters before the corner,
right? Especially when you're right behind them pulling onto the straight.
Yeah, that car is slow.
Yeah,
dangerously slow.
I mean, we saw it in Saudi too.
Yep,
it kind of felt that same way behind the McLaren.
Sure did.
Tough weekend for them. But yeah, P7, Yuki Tsunoda. Good day today. He qualified well. He qualified and made Q3. Qualified in the top 10 and just had a solid race today. I think he benefited from the safety car as well, if my memory serves. And yeah, P7 for him. Not a lot of TV time for him, but he was in a little scrap trying to pick up the pieces behind Hamilton too.
Yeah, and I think he did end up passing someone around the same time Hamilton did. They were on track in roughly the same area.
They were kind of close all weekend this weekend.
Yeah, Yuki had a solid weekend, didn't damage the car, brought home a bunch of points from both the sprint and the race.
Yep.
Daniel grabbed some points from the sprint.
They had a really good weekend overall.
Yeah. Daniel, you could say, didn't do well in the race, but again, between the two events, both of them combined scored their team.
I think they got 9 points this weekend. That's huge.
That's huge for them.
For a 6th place. So, yeah, 9 points for them this weekend. Yuki, good finish. Daniel finished P15. Like kind of we said, tough qualifying. Started on the hards. And people just pitted behind him. And they passed him back up before the safety car. So the safety car didn't really help him that much. Yeah, tough race day. But still good haul for him in the sprint race. Brings us to Alpine.
1 point.
They got their first point of the weekend.
Is that Ocon?
With Ocon, yeah. Oof.
P10 finish for Ocon. Him and Gasly in the opening lap were racing side by side
almost like the whole lap. It felt
5
like
corners. Oh my gosh, it was crazy.
Under the bridge, the tight section.
You thought for sure they were going to crash into one another, but they managed to stay out of contact, or if there was contact, it was very light because there wasn't any perceivable damage. But that was a crazy battle, and yeah,
I thought it was a guarantee somebody was getting crashed into.
For sure.
But yeah, they kept it civil.
They did
per se.
And Ocon brought the car home for points finish.
Which he benefited from the safety car, I think, very well.
And I think Gasly finished what, 12th?
12th.
Yeah, so
not a bad weekend for them.
No, I mean
they got a point.
You would have liked to see 2 points or maybe 2 points finishes for them, but they got a point, which is
moves them up
to eighth place.
Yep. Behind Haas and ahead of Williams and Kick Sauber. Haas, Hulkenberg, P11. He was in the points for a while at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, he was racing
like 7, 8.
Yeah.
Had some battles, and then I think he pitted earlier. Safety car, caught him out. I don't want to even say caught him out. Bad luck for him.
Yep.
Some of the other cars started on the hards behind him, and that's Ocon, and that's the point. That's it, pretty much.
That's how, yeah.
He was trying to pull back Ocon in the end, couldn't do it.
Haas, aside from Magnussen's large haul of penalty points, they scored more penalty points than they did
actual points
this weekend.
But they got points this weekend.
They did get points this weekend. I would say that were it not for the penalties for Magnussen, you would say that Haas had a good weekend, but you do have to look at the penalties as well. So
yeah, but they brought the cars home. A little bit of contact. Wheel contact, though. It doesn't look like any other damage.
Hopefully they're able to sort that out going forward.
Magnussen, P18.
Okay, 18. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, well, we got a penalty for the incident that brought the safety car out with Logan Sargent.
Oh, right.
Unfortunate for him, but that felt clumsy too.
Completely Magnussen's fault.
We'll see if he gets more penalty points.
He
might end up with 5 on the weekend, which would be brutal. I think it's 12 to get a ban, and he's at, I think, 8 right now. So, yeah, we'll see what happens there. But yeah, overall, decent weekend. Not great for K-Mag, but Hulk had a good weekend. Guan Yu Zhou had a P14 finish for Sauber, Kick Sauber.
Yeah.
Okay drive, didn't see much of him, but that car is just not quick. It's not great. That's kind of...
They did have an upgrade this weekend, right? They are both racing the...
Do they got new lug nuts?
Lightweight... Oh, sorry.
The Alpines.
It's not that. Yeah, no.
Is it the new lug nuts?
No, sorry.
Oh, I wasn't sure. I was like,
team.
Maybe they did have
wrong
one.
Team.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they did or not, but yeah. P14 for Zhou and Bottas. P16, kind of didn't see much of them this weekend. The car's just not great. It's them and Williams. Alpine at the back. Even Alpine seems to have had a pretty good weekend comparatively. And that's saying something, but yeah, unfortunate for them. Car's just not going well. We'll see when they bring some upgrades. Their lug nuts that I spend way too much time on. And I don't even know if they have them here yet. It might be the next race.
But they didn't seem to have slow pit stops this weekend at all. I don't remember seeing.
I didn't see any pit stops either of them. So
hopefully,
but that's probably a good thing.
Yeah,
that they didn't show a 40-second pit stop.
Right,
20 seconds, 5 seconds.
Sponsors like the screen time.
That's true. Kick. So yeah, tough weekend for them. No points again. And Williams, another tough weekend. They're kind of back foot again. Albon had a pretty big lockup and incidents.
Yeah, big incident near the end of the race there. Who was
that with? Was that with Stroll? That was with Stroll.
Yeah. He was like in 13th or 14th at the time when that happened, and then just completely burned through a set of tires. He ended up pitting at the end, and then, there just wasn't enough race time left for him to recover anything. Like we mentioned, Logan Sargent got ran off the road by Magnussen.
Wheel-to-wheel contact, spun out immediately.
Broke the back of his car. Poor guy, wasn't his fault. It was a decent battle up until that point.
He did out-qualify his teammate in the sprint, and he out-finished him in the sprint.
He did. He finished, 12th in the sprint?
Yeah.
There's no points there, but that's a solid
finish. I think it might have been 11th with the Hamilton penalty.
I forgot about that. Okay.
Counts.
Yeah, Logan had a good weekend up until someone ruined his race.
Yeah, he was in a good... I think he was in 12th at that point, too. 12th or 13th.
Yeah, and considering some of the rumors that we've heard buzzing around Logan and his seat for the next race... There's been talk about someone replacing him.
Which seems crazy.
Seems unlikely, but
You take a car away from him and give him a repaired chassis that's not his fault, and then you all of a sudden, nope.
Right. Crazier things have happened in Formula One.
Yeah.
But I think
in a modern era, it kind of seems.
Yeah. This would be pretty harsh.
Yeah.
But he hasn't really scored a lot of points, so neither has Albon this year. So they have 0 points from the first 6 races and first 2 sprints. So it's not like Albon is, got 10
tearing it up this year either. I think the car is just not good.
It's just not there.
It's not a good car. I think we missed Aston Martin.
Oh, but they also didn't have a very good race.
I don't think they got any points in the sprint. And
nope. And then
Alonso got 9th, I believe, in the race. Okay, and so Stroll had penalties and stuff and finished like 18th, 17th, 18th. So yeah, not a great weekend for them. Definitely on the back foot right now. Yeah, I'm not really sure what else to say about that. I mean, Alonso staying there for a couple more years, but could just be indicative of the track. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe this track just doesn't suit their car or their strengths. But they have been, what was it, Danica Patrick talking during the commentary, Aston Martin have had like these peaks and valleys in terms of performances at certain races.
It's extreme too.
Yeah, they're on it, third, fighting for podium.
Alonso's on it.
Alonso's always on it. Right. And then, maybe they're in the battle, right? Like, because Alonso was fighting for some points in the sprint as well before he ended up getting that puncture. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see if they can end up having a decent weekend at Imola in a couple weeks' time. Maybe they got some upgrades coming. Haven't heard.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure either
for them, but Fernando obviously could have a really strong weekend at Monaco as well. He knows that place well.
Yeah,
and I think that track sort of suits their strength a little bit. So
yeah,
we'll see where they end up going. I like them being sort of competitive. It's always fun to see them fighting and with a Ferrari or a Mercedes or a McLaren. And of course, we like seeing Fernando fighting with the Red Bulls, but
and Hamilton.
That time might be. Oh yeah, and Hamilton. Yeah,
it's always fun.
Yeah,
let that never die.
No. So, who would you have as your winners for the weekend?
Lando, easy winner. Deserved it. Drove a great race. I mean, lucked out with the safety car, but you got to create your own luck. He was the fastest guy on track at that point too, before the safety car came out. So, deserved it.
I'm going to say the same thing.
Yeah,
Lando.
Yeah, that's fair.
Everything you said.
Yeah. I don't know how you could go with anybody else. I think we saw the vote tracking. I think some fans were voting Bottas second.
For what? Yeah. I think the Australians
maybe they had a good pit stop.
Yeah. Or maybe that.
I think the loser is probably Williams. I mean, Alpine got a point on top of them. They got nothing. They were 19th and 20th. Yeah, not all of it was their fault, and that's fair, but
I'm going to say
it still shows in the same. Well, that's a good shout too. That's a good shout too. That's a good one.
Yeah, he's going to end up with
maybe 10 points.
Close
5
to
this weekend.
Minute worth of penalties.
Yeah. I think he had 20 in the.
I think he had 30 in the sprint. He had 3 penalties. 3 10s.
3.
I don't think.
I thought it was a 10-5-5.
Maybe.
Doesn't matter. No.
He's going to have like 3 or 4 penalty points against his super license, and he's going to have a lot of penalty times.
Yeah.
It just doesn't end.
Yeah, tough weekend for him. Although he was in 8th when he was racking up those penalties and helping his teammate out.
But that was during the sprint, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But Hülkenberg scored some points from the sprint because of Magnussen's actions.
That's the second time this year.
Second time. And those points are going to be crucial for Haas. I mean,
yeah. Right now it doesn't look like V-Carb's going to be catchable to them. Maybe.
Yeah, we'll see if
it's early. We're in race 6 at 24.
Right, they could peter out.
But Alpine just got the first point. I think Haas is probably on like 8 or 9 right now. I'm not sure the total.
Yeah, it might be like 6 or 7.
Is it less than that?
Yeah, I don't know.
It could be
because Magnussen's only got 1.
Yeah, Hulk's got like probably 6 now. 6 or 7.
I'd
6.
Say.
Yeah. So yeah, those points are going to matter. So this could be a positive weekend for K-Mag looking back on it. If it comes down to a point,
if he doesn't get a race suspension, but that would
be maybe he needs a break to hang out with his family.
Maybe Ollie
reset,
Bierman, come back in, score some more points for himself because he still has more points than Magnussen and Ocon.
Yeah, he's got. I think he's like 12th in the standings right now.
Yeah,
Bierman. He's ahead of Ricardo too.
Oh my gosh! Even after Ricardo's finished in the sprint?
Spearman got 6. Ricardo's got 5 points.
Okay.
Slowly.
Yeah, chipping away.
But yeah, it was a fun weekend at least. A lot of racing going on. Both races were decent.
Yep.
Obviously the race was pretty fun with Lando winning.
Absolutely. Big deal.
Yeah, it's good.
Looking forward to Imola in 2 weeks' time, and hopefully we have another eventful, exciting, drama-filled event weekend just like this one.
Maybe it'll be weather-driven this time.
That would be nice too.
Yeah.
Not to the point where they cancel the race, though.
Correct. Not like last year. Now we don't need flooding. I think they pushed it back a little bit this year just for that. But yeah, looking forward to Imola. Maybe we'll have a Ferrari special livery.
That would
Fingers
be interesting.
crossed.
Yep. That'd be interesting.
A good one and not.
Yeah, a good one, not a bad
blue
one. Yeah, we don't need that. Put Ferrari back on the wing.
Yes, please. Yeah, I forgot that wasn't even on there.
No, it's not. HP logos on the wing now.
Oh, yeah, that's big.
The most sacred spot.
I know. I missed that Ferrari yellow they did in the back. Good times.
You can tell where our eyes are going in the race.
Livery chats, man. We don't even care about the race anymore. What looks best?
P12th, but looking good doing it.
That's right. First place, 25 points. Well, thank you for listening to another episode of The Pit Lane. This has been your host, Jordan Wynn Alden Cable, and we'll see you in a couple weeks after Imola.
See you next time.
Thank you.